Today, we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to the 370Z. Start off, we're going to be talking about the good. First one on the list is going to be, it's one of the best cars to mod. So this car has been out in the market for quite a while now, so it has a bunch of mods that you can do to the vehicle. From the engine to regular cosmetic mods like body kits, interior mods, all of that. It's going to have a lot of mods and a lot of customization you can do to make the Z your Z. Next on the list, it's going to have enough power to have fun and put a smile on your face. Now I know this isn't the fastest car you can buy, but you do get a lot of horsepower for the price that you can get it at. These cars can be pretty cheap depending on where you get it from and all that stuff, but for the amount of money you spend, for the amount of fun you can have with this car, I would say it's pretty good. Pretty good. Next on the list is it looks more flashy and expensive than it actually is. Like I said, these cars can be pretty cheap, but it looks more expensive. Like every time I've drove my car somewhere and someone who's not really familiar with this car or anything like that, they're always like, wow, this is a very nice car, and they're blown away when I tell them how much I got it for. Next on the list is it's stupidly reliable. Now I know people have their gripes and everything about Nissan and everything, but one thing Nissan does right is the reliability of their vehicles, majority of the time. Because this car is actually almost at 100k miles, and I've experienced 2 issues that I can think of with it. One being the mass airflow sensor. I don't even remember how that issue started, but one of my good friends, he's a mechanic, he actually helped me fix that up, helped me understand what was going on with it, and yeah, it was actually pretty cool fixing it and trying to revive my car back from where it was, because I was like in limp mode, and then my RPMs were sitting below 0 and all that. It just wasn't a good time. Next thing I experienced was the CSC. A lot of the Z enthusiasts, you know where I'm coming from when I say that is a nightmare. I'll get more into that later in the video whenever I do talk about the ugly, because that's where that's at. Next on the list is, even though it's old, it's gold. So this one's a 2016. It's getting close to 10 years old, but it's still gold. This vehicle still looks good, it still runs good, it still drives good, and it still breaks necks and catches people's eye. So even though it's old, it's gold. Next on the list for good is it sounds amazing even when stock, on the right setups. Because whenever I first got the car, I was learning how to drive, and once I did get good to where I could drive fast and everything, I was just blown away by how good it sounded stock. And my initial plan was just to save up for the exhaust I have now and go from stock to exhaust, but man, I was like, man, that shit is expensive. I'm gonna just do a muffler delete for now. Did the muffler delete, and man, it sounded good too. And I was like, man, if this sounds good, wait till I get my exhaust, that's gonna sound even better. And it does. Like I said, it sounds good on the right setups. I believe the setup I have is one of the best setups, if not the best, for sound. I've had a lot of people compliment me on how it sounds. I never had someone say, oh, that sounds bad, or that sounds like crap. They always give me a thumbs up or tell me it sounds good. Next, we're going to be talking about the bad. So, obviously, you can tell this is a low car. It's not the lowest. This is like stock height, so you can't drive this car like it's an SUV. Because I came from a Charger to this. I had a Charger, Volkswagen Passat, and then I had this. So whenever I first got the car, I knew it was going to be lower, but I wasn't prepared for how low. I scraped it a few times, nothing like super bad though, but yeah, you just got to be careful. If your town's anything like mine, where it's potholes, even in your neighborhood, and it's just crazy, bumps everywhere, blah blah blah, you just got to be careful. Know what you're getting into and be prepared to drive differently if you get this car. Number two on the bad side is raspy on the wrong setups. So this car, it can sound good, mine sounds good, but honestly, myself, I'm not a fan of the straight piping of this car. Sure, it's loud, sure, you might like it, but it does not sound good, not to me. And it just sounds super raspy, and yeah, you just don't want to sound like that. You don't want to sound raspy and be the stereotype that these cars have built, sounding like a trumpet and all that. You don't want that. Next is obvious, but small car, small trunk space. So let me show you. So this car is a two-seater, obviously, but it is going to have a small trunk space. This is a sports car. Obviously, it's not going to have that much space, but this isn't your grocery getter. If you're spending like $1,000 on groceries, don't take this car because you're not going to fit it. Next on the list is dated interior. So let me show you inside. So like I said, dated interior. As you can see, it's pretty old in here. I mean, it's not that old, but nowadays when the newer cars are coming out, when it has all that future tech and stuff, everything's looking a little futuristic. And you get in this car, has like the old gauges, no like digital numbers, no heads-up display, you know, none of that cool stuff. But nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that this is a bit dated nowadays. Like if you're going from like, let's say, the brand new Corvette, and then you get in this, you're like, man, didn't know I was in the Stone Age. So yeah, it's just a bit dated. That's like not that bad, because me myself, I'm not really that like, I don't like having all that tech in cars. I think it's cool and everything, but I just like having like the regular speedometer, odometer, regular dash, and all that good stuff. But yeah, dated interior. This is a sports car, so it is going to have big blind spots. So that's a good one right there. That's like a big blind spot, especially if you do have like a passenger sitting here. You're gonna have to like really lean up and everything to see right there. Also right here, this could be a bad one here. Kind of depends on how tall you are and everything, or how you have your seat positioned. It could be pretty bad right there, trying to see something. One of the worst ones for me though, is the rear view. So whenever you're driving, I have my friend standing back there right now to kind of give you an idea. It's the hatch really, because it's slanted. You don't really get the height visibility of like what's behind you, what car and everything like that. So most of the time I use my side views to kind of see like, you know, what car is behind me and stuff like that. Because most of the time you'll only see like the bumper, like the bottom of the bumper and down, and like their wheels and all that. You won't see like anything above that. They'll have to be like at the sweet spot to where you can see them, but other than that, you can't really see what vehicle is behind you and who's behind you and blah blah blah. That's like one of the only things that I have. Now, time to get to the ugly. So I spent all day trying to come up with things to talk about in the bad and the ugly. I had a lot of good, because you know, I'm kind of biased. I love this car, I've been driving for a while, but driving it for that long gave me more ideas on what could be bad, or not what could be, what is bad and what is ugly about this car. First on the list, it's going to be the cramped engine bay. So you're not used to working on cars or anything like that, this could be pretty difficult and pretty scary to get into. I'm glad I had a friend who's a mechanic to actually help me and understand everything. If you don't have someone like that, I'm sorry. You can YouTube some good videos and all that to kind of learn about this car and, you know, what to do and how much tools you need, because if you want to get anywhere to like the intakes or anything like that, you're gonna have to take off this brace right here and all of that, and then I have to do a bunch of stuff with my mass airflow sensors, taking all that out. And then when I need to change my battery, I need to take this out and those covers. And then it's just, whenever you want to do one thing, sometimes you're gonna have to do multiple things because it's so cramped together. This car can consume a lot of oil, and it burns oil faster than you would think. This car heats up pretty fast. If you're cruising, I would say like maybe an hour or two, just straight cruising, no brakes, no nothing, you're gonna notice that your car is gonna heat up pretty fast, and that can cause like your oil being consumed faster and all that. So that's one of the ugly things about this car. You just got to watch your oil, and you'd probably have to change it sooner than normal. I usually change mine around 4,000 to 5,000. Some people do it around 3, and that's pretty good too. But yeah, I would say 3,000 to 5,000 miles is when you should change the oil, and definitely be on top of it. Next on the list is going to be the gallery gaskets. So these cars have pretty bad issues when it comes to the gallery gaskets. That's usually pre-2013. Sometimes you can get a 2012, like depending on which, like, I guess generation of the 2012 you got it at, it could be good. But if you got one before they fix the gallery gasket issues, then man, I'm praying for you, because that is not an easy fix. It's very expensive, especially if you do get a shop to do it for you. I didn't even know about those issues when I got this car, so I'm glad I got a 2016, and then I found out about that. I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that, because man, I would be crying if I had to deal with that. Next on the list is going to be the CSC failure. Like I was saying before in the video, I had an issue with that, and what that means is your clutch slave cylinder. So that only deals with, you know, the manuals. It just has premature wear. It's gonna go out sooner than you think. CSC is a big one. Be prepared for that. Have some money saved up, because sooner or later you're gonna have to change that out. That's just what it is, and unfortunately it's gonna be sooner than other cars because, like I said, premature wear. So that's gonna be it for the ugly. Honorable mentions, wanted to include that because sometimes there's things that people don't think about that seem kind of basic, like gas prices. Obviously, if you get this car, you're not really thinking about gas prices until you have to fill up the tank. Then you're like, damn, that's a lot of fucking money. You're like, damn, that's a lot of money. So around COVID time, I was spending $60 around there from E to fill. And then now, since gas prices are starting to go down, I'm spending 45 to 40. So I would say in most cities, most towns and everything, that's about where it is on a normal day. I think before COVID, I could probably get maybe like high 30s. We have some pretty cheap gas here. We used to, at least. And next is going to be insurance cost. So obviously this is a sports car. Obviously it's going to be more, but I've noticed a lot of the times people don't think about that until they got the car. Then they're like, oh crap, I gotta get insurance. So if you're going from, like, let's say an old freaking Toyota Corolla, then you go from this, you're gonna be spending a lot more in insurance. My insurance for 2 cars is around $300, $330, around there. When I had my Charger, I was spending like $120. So I had a big jump. Plus I added another car, but you know, just my car alone, it would be 200 easily, like around 200s. Also depends on, like, you know, what provider, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna get into all that though, but just know gas prices, insurance costs, those are just two of my honorable mentions. I can't really think about anything else. I'm sure you guys know some stuff, but yeah, thanks for coming out to this video. Hope to see you at the next one.